Welcome to Fortune Cookies Tarot. I'm Annabelle. I'm a tarot practitioner and psychic for over 35 years. In this video, we are going to be doing Fan Favorite Friday. Welcome to Fan Favorite Friday. I'm sorry this is so late, guys, but I did have a medical test this morning. I had not personal training, my physical therapy, my acupuncture. So this is what I look like. And then I got sucked into Candor, the Enigmas live, and I was having a great time in the chat there. And I kept telling a couple of my friends, I gotta go, but I just was having a great time in there. So let's get this out in the open. So every Wednesday, I ask you guys what you want to hear for a long form video for Fan Favorite Friday. This week, it's a really cool question. It's how about that Jetsons lifestyle that we were promised and we never got? So I am one of those people. I absolutely loved the Back to the Future movies. And I was a skateboarder, and I really thought that we were going to have hoverboards and all kinds of cool stuff by the time I had kids. And by the time I was over 50, I thought all my food was going to be coming in pill form. Don't get me wrong, I take a lot of pills, but it's not food. High cholesterol, my goodness. But I really thought that we were going to be living in a much more technologically advanced world. Don't get me wrong, we live in a technologically advanced world. I have Alexa in my house. Our lights turn on and off when we talk to them. We even have a couple of lights that when you walk past them, they turn on. So our thermostat in the house knows when people are home. It knows when we're sleeping. It knows when we're awake. It's kind of like Santa Claus. But I wanted a little bit more. I wanted like free energy, hover cars, those kinds of things. I know a few years back there was a lot of conspiracy theorists talking about med beds and things like that. So we're going to dive into that and see maybe we can look forward to these things in the next few years. So thank you all for being here. Please hit that like button. And I want to remind everyone for the next few days, I am having a booking sale where you can book one of my readings, an hour-long reading, anytime into the future for about $56 off. So it's a pretty tremendous sale. I am a very thorough reader. You can ask anybody in the comments that's gotten a reading from me. I tend to have to set a timer for myself because I do go over. I want to make sure that everybody feels great by the time they're done with a reading with me. And that's really the goal of it. So if you have questions about where to go, a decision that you have to make, I like to help people do that. And I'm not going to give you bad advice. So think about it as like a really good friend who can kind of see through walls, because that's really how psychic ability works. But let's get to our topic. So I'm going to bring up that card view again. Hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I've had a subscriber bloom recently. It's great. Welcome to all the new viewers. Welcome to all the new members. You guys are fantastic. And let's get going with some cards here. So we're going to be doing, this is what we would call an esoteric reading. So why is it an esoteric reading? Because we can't really prove this in the moment. Anything that I see is going to be proved in the future. It's not going, we can't just go, oh, okay, yeah, like that's totally provable. So this is kind of a fun fantasy kind of reading. Free will always gets in the way. You'll see last week I did do a future cast of 2064. There's some dramatic stuff that's going to go on in 2064, according to me. But sometimes we get a hero who maybe changes direction for everything. So today we are going to be using two decks that I got through my Hay House subscription box subscription box that I thought I canceled. We're going to be working with the Mindscapes Tarot, and oh my goodness, I am so glad that I did not properly cancel the subscription, because this is one of my favorite decks now. It is it's all watercolors. It's really, really beautiful. There's 2 additional cards in there. If they come up, I'll explain them. And we're also going to be using the Psychic Tarot Oracle deck. This is one of the first Oracle decks that I opened up and I said, I really like it. Again, this is from Hay House, and it does come in a tin. I know some people are partial to getting their decks in tins. So let's giddy up, boys and girls. So let's talk about free energy and technology. Are we currently moving toward a future where free energy becomes widely accessible to the public? Now, there have been some discoveries underneath the pyramids of Giza. And possibly the pyramids of Giza were part of a network. And this is some esoteric archaeology and past historians, people that are looking at the ancient history of the world. So they were possibly part of a larger energy structure, similar to the one that Nikola Tesla was working on. And this would have been energy that was dispersed through the air. Hit my microphone. Through the air, and it would have been free and accessible to everyone. So there wouldn't have been any power company or anything like that. Now, you could go into the whole history of Nikola Tesla if you want. I am not going to do that here, but suffice it to say, the man shut him down. So the man shut him down because there was no profit in the technology that Nikola Tesla was creating, and he died penniless and alone in an apartment, which is really horrible and terrible. So are we now moving toward a future where free energy becomes widely accessible to the public? Queen of Wands looks like a knit. Those of you that are new, my dad is Russian/Ukrainian. His family is historically from that area, and his 23andMe came up shockingly more Ukrainian than Russian. But I do speak Russian. Я говорю по-русски. Тоже, just a bit. So are we moving toward the future? We're looking in the present right here. This is lovely. In the moment, 9 of branches, it is not a thing that we can invest in that will be self-sustaining investment wise. The branches are ideas and things like that. The Page of Tides is the Page of Cups in reverse. No, don't like it. We don't like how this is going. But there is the Knight of Branches, who is a forward thinker, like a Nikola Tesla, Elon Musk, those kinds of individuals. So this is a forward thinker here. Page of Branches back here. This is someone who tried to develop this once before. And then over here, this is kind of cool. The plan, star, it's reserved for the future. So the 9 of Stones tells us that, yes, this is achievable. We will see this in the future. How far in the future are we talking here? Let's go to the Oracle deck. Let's pull the Oracle deck on this one. Intuition. Relying on my intuition. Authority. Transformation of authority. The Fool. To be determined still, kids. So we are still to be determined here. We're not going to see this just yet. So buckle up, buttercups. We got a ways to go. Put those over there. What forces are currently blocking that? What forces are currently blocking that? If it's money, so be it. I got a jump out card, the Hierophant. So that was an evil laugh. So the Hierophant, what is the Hierophant? The Hierophant is the seat of power in the power structures, in the marketing whole soup of the world that we live in. So the Hierophant is really that deep state, the Pentaveret, if you are a fan of Mike Myers, and So I Married an Axe Murderer. My nose is itching. Am I going to get in fight? King of Branches. This is somebody needs to be unleashed. Okay. So King of Branches, Eight of Spires. The Eight of Spires is the Eight of Swords. It's in reverse. So that's release. If you remember from our traditional Rider-Waite deck, that's the gal who's in all of the swords and she's blindfolded. So the King of Branches, this innovator, this really successful, productive, amazing innovator, will have to be released from their bounds. And the Four of Branches, and it has to be cross-continental, cross-country. It'll be really for the good of planet Earth, as opposed to just the United States, just the United Kingdom, just Russia. Four of Tides, we have to stop thinking, wishing, dreaming. So I think a lot of the preconceived ideas about what that's going to look like in the future, what like amazing, intense, shared technology is going to look like. I think we have to let go of these dreamy ideas. So like in the 1960s, like there were some futuristic movies like Ray Bradbury and The Illustrated Man. They had that modern home in the beginning. The short story was called the Velt, and the kids had a digital nursery that they went in, and they set it up so that it had an African veld, and the lions ate their parents at one point because they were going to shut it off. So I think we have to get rid of our preconceived ideas. I myself thought that we were going to be wearing these gorgeous silver lame jumpsuits in the future. Now that I am my postmenopausal weight, I'm kind of glad that we don't have those. But maybe if we did have them, they would have kept me skinnier. I would have maintained my figure that I had prior to my 40s. But last card here. Oh, and we got two. We got the Nine of Branches and the Wheel of Fortune. This is exceptionally fortuitous. Fortuitous. So I'm going to start using that word a lot more on this channel, fortuitous. So it's exceptionally fortuitous. Why is that? Because we are locked into the pathway to making this happen. We have no choice. There is no way back. And it's a good thing because that Wheel of Fortune is in the upright. So goody gumdrops for us. And hopefully we will have that. Is there suppressed technology that could revolutionize the way we power our homes and vehicles? Six of Stones. I don't think so. I think the all of the ideas that for alternate power sources, I think they're all out there. I think we have them. Like it's just a matter of finagling them and playing with them. So I will talk about just briefly. Atlantis, allegedly they had stored information in crystals. This is a piece of rose quartz that I've had since I was 17 years old. It went missing for I think 20 years, and it showed up on my aunt's desk. It was at her house, so I reclaimed it. I took it back. Here, look at how pretty it is. It's gorgeous. I love it. It fits in your hand. It could be used as a weapon as necessary. So if somebody needs love, I can throw it at them. But there is the idea that crystals held different information in Atlantis, and that was how it's like instead of us storing them on computer chips, which include crystals, we all know that, they would store them in literal crystals without all the apparatus and whatnot. So was that more technologically advanced than we are? I think so. Gregopedia and I disagree on that. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Do you think that crystals holding on information, being able to manipulate energies and things like that, do you think that that was a viable technology in Atlantis? Do you think it's a viable technology for us moving forward? So let me know what your thoughts are on that. So I think we've got everything at hand. We don't really need to develop anything. I don't think there's anything hidden behind the curtain. So let's move on. I do think we're going to have that hover cars and transportation in the future. Now, if you were buried under a rock in the United States, you would have not heard anything about high-speed trains and things like that. So I think the train travel is amazing. There's an amazing super deluxe tour that you can go on, a beer tour up the coast of, I think it's Canada, and I think it does go actually into Alaska. But it's beautiful scenery. You're on this lovely, luxurious train, and you're stopping at all kinds of places to have beer. So sounds like a great trip. Looks like a lot of fun. There are all kinds of European train tours that you can go on. Historically, Russia, the Trans-Siberian Railroad, big deal. And there has been much talk about having a cross-continental high-speed train here in the United States. The United States is quite large, 4 time zones on the domestic United States, not including Alaska and Hawaii. Forgot about Hawaii. But getting from, and I've done cross country trip. I think I've done it like 7 or 8 times. I've driven cross country a number of times. Some trips were faster than others. Some we stopped in a few places. And that's not including going on tours with my ex-husband. He managed rock bands, and I've gone on a few national tours with him. So I've been on a tour bus all over the place. But love that Yorkshire Red. Hope you celebrated International Tea Day like I did. I drank way too much tea. So I've done the trip many times. It is a fun trip. Would it be more fun to do it on a high-speed train? I don't know. Maybe the fastest I ever made it back was in, I think, 2 days. I think it was like just over 2 days. And I really had the hammer down. I had my 2 Rottweilers with me and my late friend Coley. And Coley wanted to stop in Tra-la-la in a lot of places. And I was like, dude, I just want to get home. I just want to get back to New Jersey with these 2 dogs, with these 2 crazy dogs. I didn't want to stop in too many hotels. I did stop in one hotel in Silt, Colorado, which was the beginning of a horror story. It absolutely was like the worst place I've ever been. Lovely hotel. The zombies that were walking around were troubling though. So is mass market hover transportation a realistic possibility in our lifetime? I'm not talking about those hydro things. Can we get hover technology? Am I going to get a hover car like Luke Skywalker? Dang it. No, it's not really possible. Why is it not really possible? Page of Branches, Knight of Branches, they're still working on it. There's a 10 of Stones. I keep getting the FAA. I think because it leaves the ground, even if it's just hovering like a foot or 3 feet, it looks like what I'm seeing right now is that the cars that they test are about 3 feet off the ground. And that creates a range of area of space that's problematic. That becomes problematic because bad things can happen. So like if there's a collision with that 3 feet space because there's air under there, like there's flipping that can happen like in the cigarette boats, and like if you do like glance off somebody, like it goes flying off into the stratosphere, not into the stratosphere really, but it goes flying in the air. So that's part of it. I always said, like, how cool would it be if they put a magnet in the road and then you had like a magnet technology in the base of a car? So some inventor picked that up. I think it would be really cool. We'd have to have magnets all over the world though. Super fun. So I think flying vehicles are being tested in secret. Are they being tested? And if so, what is the timeline? I think yes. Yes, Wheel of Fortune. What's our timeline on this? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. It looks like we got a ways to go. So I actually will know 10, 20, 30. In 30 years, we're going to know a little bit more about it. But I think they're still going to be testing it. The Catacombs. This is really cool. This is a card specific to this deck. Let's take a little break for some information. So Catacombs, it's a 22nd card, actually the 23rd card because the Fool is 0. You guys know that. The Catacombs is about accessing your ancestors' information and messages from them. This is going into the Catacombs and talking to your ancestors. So cool little thing there. So in my lifetime, I don't think we're going to see these hover cars. So if anybody is under the age of 20, maybe you'll get to see them. Are there any environmental concerns about hover cars? Any environmental concern? Actually, I'm going to switch decks. Switch decks, guys. We'll switch it up. I'll do a little demo. We'll wash this deck again, too. This is called washing the deck. If you have any tarot or oracle apps, sometimes they do this on when you do the shuffle feature. So any environmental concerns over the hover car? Third eye chakra. Oh, awareness. Guys, 50 years in the future, temptation, rest and rejuvenate. I think that they're firm foundation. I think when we get hover cars, it is going to have to, the prerequisite for that is going to have some kind of spiritual connection. I think there's going to be some kind of unlocking of spiritual activity and psychic activity. So that is super cool. And it's also an amazing segue into the next section, the third section of questions that I've created. So conscious healing and mind-body medicine. Will future healing methods focus more on vibration, consciousness, energy fields than pharmaceuticals? Now, I just recently saw an ad for a vibration changer. It's a necklace that you put your thumb on, and it's supposed to change your, it's a bracelet too. It had a couple of different ways you could wear it, but it's supposed to change the vibrational patterns that you have. Doing that through meditation and things like that, you can actually timeline jump. So I'm wondering if that piece of jewelry is a very interesting thing. I don't know if it was actually like a crowdfunder or anything like that, but it didn't look like it. It looked like they were already in production, but it was a little too expensive for me to test out. Hate to say it. Rest and rejuvenate. Now, so what I was saying during the election, people were talking about these med beds. You know, my conspiracy theory friends were talking a great deal about med beds where you would just go and you would lay down and you would get light and you would get vibrational healing and sound healing. Sounds really cool. And like the friends that were talking about it, oddly enough, were not like my psychic woo-woo friends, but my like fairly conservative friends, my friends that are traditionally religious, traditionally Christian, but I was kind of surprised that they were talking about it. Now you guys know that I do red light therapy at my gym. I belong to Planet Fitness. I will disclose that. And the red light therapy is actually, every time I use it, and I come on here, I go see people, they go, oh my God, what are you doing with your skin? What are you wearing? What do you have on your face? I'm like, well, I do use a filter on this because I am 53 kids. I'm not coming on here without a filter. I'm sorry. Actually, the beginning of this video, the intro, the filter's not on. I put it back on. But every time I use this red light therapy, people comment on what I look like. And I there's something to it. It is supposed to heal molecular structures, help with metabolism, all that stuff. So I think we're already starting to get into the light therapy zone. The tanning beds that we have there also have blue and red light therapy and tanning. And I did do that last week, which awesome. Had a little bit of color. So I think possibly these med beds, but I don't think that they're actually med beds. I think that they are light and vibration that they're going to be working with. And what is the name of the boots that they have there that have the vibration plate in it? I think it's called Beauty Angel. I think it's a German product. I don't know if I'm correct on that one. But this looks like we almost plug in and you sit down, and it's not going to just vibrate your feet, but it's going to vibrate even the bottom of your spine. Like you'll be sitting. I don't get suggestive here, but I think it's like a vibrating like throne or chair that you sit in, and then you're bathed in light through that. Add a little sound therapy in there, ring a gong for me, and I'm good for it. I think this is something we can look for to the future. This is not a bad plan for us to get into. It's really not. So God bless America. No, God bless the world. It's probably going to come out of Europe. I'm getting that this is more of a European thing than it is an American thing. So is humanity awakening to a more holistic and conscious approach to health and well-being? Are we being raised up? Are we being raised up? Is consciousness coming up? Hopefully it is. Hopefully it is. The waiting game. Triumph and success under the surface. Positive movement forward, kids. Crown chakra. Everybody's crown chakra is opening up. And throat chakra. Right now we're in the talking part of it. And I do think that the spiritual progress that we're taking, the ride we're taking together, it does come from the bottom up. So the sacral chakra up to your crown chakra. So if we're in the throat chakra, that's a good thing. Disruption. There's always tests, right? We always have tests that we have to deal with. Tests with authority. There's going to be, I think the traditional medical field will be very suspicious of this. And I do experience that because I have a Chinese doctor that does acupuncture on me. I love him, Dr. Wang. He's great. When I discuss that with physicians, not my personal doctor, because he's amazing as well, Dr. Simon. But when I talk, with other doctors, they're like, like rolling their eyes about like Chinese herbs or acupuncture. And I'm like, you got to try it before you really say it doesn't work. It's snake oil. It's that kind of stuff. It really is something that you have to practice for a sustained amount of time. Even my husband, Greg, he did acupuncture and he's like, man, it really doesn't feel good. I'm like, you have to do it over time. It's about resetting those energy points. It's about releasing and introducing energy through the needles, through those points of energetic disruption or a vacuum of energy there. So today I got acupuncture. I also got cupping. I love cupping. Cupping actually brings more blood and energy to an injured area, and it does work really, really well. Talk to your own practitioner. I am not one of those practitioners, but we do have cupping set here. So I think that we're going to see some authority from traditional medical circles, like, it's not really going to work. Like, you still have to do this. Now, I'm not advocating for people to totally get rid of like vaccines or chemotherapy or anything like that. But I do think that when we support the body with medicines that are natural, that we can have better health all around. That's my opinion. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a shaman, not a Chinese doctor, none of those things, but I know what's working for me personally. So, I say give it a shot. And I do think that in the future, we will wind up seeing more of this kind of stuff. If you've never tried a float chamber, guys, I'm going to sing it loud, sing it proud. Float chambers, isolation chambers are amazing. Now, easily digestible information. There's Epsom salts. They put like 100 pounds of Epsom salts in every float chamber. You go in there, you close it, it's dark, or some of them are open. Greg, I just found one. I got Greg a gift card for it. It's an open float chamber. I don't know if I like that idea, but they do have a salt cave there. So I think he's going to try that out as well. But if you'll float in that and you actually go into a meditative state very quickly. I got my dad a gift card for one because of his arthritis, and he said he felt great for a week after soaking in there. So my dad's 88, so that's pretty good. So I do think that we're gonna be moving forward, but you guys know I love AI. Is AI going to play a role in this? Is AI going to help out? Let's check it out. Sacral chakra. Huh. Sacral chakra is all the way at the bottom of your spine. Think tailbone, partnerships and alliances, financial and material changes, rest and rejuvenate. Again, kids, solitude and wisdom. So, is AI going to play a role? I think yes. Let me grab that card that fell. Love begins. We'll stick it up there. Love begins. So I say yes. I think we are going to see AI jump in. Now, you guys know I use AI all the time for my business. I am partial to ChatGPT. Love you, ChatGPT. It helps me generate questions for these kinds of videos. It does all of my copy for postings and newsletters, and it helps me generate all my sales. Like it's really such a great tool. And I was always open to it. I always thought it was a cool idea. But I am extra open to it because it doesn't require that I have an assistant or a copywriter. And I'm a writer by trade. Like that's what my degree was mostly doing, reading and writing. So for me to use ChatGPT for copy was a reach. And now I'm just realizing there's so many other things that we can use it for. Image generation, all of that stuff. So I love it personally, and I think it's going to play a role in medicine. So last question. Are there any ancient or lost healing modalities returning to us through scientific or psychic channels? We will do psychic on the left, scientific on the right. And while I'm doing this, let me know in the comments, like what you guys think the future is going to be like for medicine. What are your thoughts on this? Because remember, all of us are psychic. All of us have a little bit of intuition. Some of us exercise that muscle a little bit more, and some of us are just more naturally apt at it. But all of us can do this. Anyone can be psychic, and everyone should practice some kind of intuition refinement, because it really is a psychic superpower for the future. So psychic, any ancient or lost healing modalities returning to us through psychic means. Queen of Swords, 10 of Branches, Ace of Spires. Yes, yes, yes. Because what's going to happen? Here's the idea. And the spires are the swords. And this is an airy thinking kind of thing. So the thinking is not going to spark on any more interesting things. So we'll lean into psychic intuition. Those of you that have been around for a while, you know that I do remote viewing. I studied with Lori Williams from intuitivespecialist.com. You can go take a 3-day course over there. I have no affiliation with her. I just think the world of her. I think she's an amazing teacher. I think she has an amazing process. It's coordinate remote viewing. And there are people that get advanced certificate work in remote viewing so that they can medically remote view. I do a lot of medical remote viewing for my clients. I dip into their knee, I take a look around, I see what's going on. Or when I'm doing a reading, I am drawn to a particular part of their body that may be injured or may be at risk of being injured. So this kind of integration does not surprise me, because I do think that there are people, especially in the medical field, that are gifted at going in there and seeing things before their diagnostics will tell them. I actually talked to my pain management doctor about it, Dr. O. Shout out to Dr. O. So I talked to him about what I do and, how I practice that. And he was super, super intrigued by it. So I do think that we are getting an age group, a demographic that's coming up that's very keen on medical interesting things. So possibly, I think it's the players, the leaders in medicine right now are going to kind of put the kibosh on doing any of this woo-woo stuff, like, essential oils or light and healing, light sound therapy. But I do think that the younger people, and Dr. O is kind of young, I do think the younger people are going to be more into it. So what about scientific? What about the practical? Bring this back down to earth a little bit. So, are there any ancient or lost healing modalities that are returning to us through scientific psychic channels? Or just scientific here. So, Queen of Tides, through science, they're safer with the science. If they can test for it, if they can do a diagnostic exam, yes, they're much better with it. And I think that we will see something, Ace of Stones, but this is plant therapy. This is more, the pharmaceutical industry will be changing instead of compounds. I don't want to say that because compound pharmacies are invaluable. They are amazing places. I love compound pharmacies. If you're a compound pharmacist, good for you. It's a really cool place to be. But I do think that they are going to integrate organic stuff into our pharmaceutical practices. So I think that's a safe one, because herbology really is, it is a science, so you can be, you can lean into being an herbalist and kind of adding that into medicine. Now that's not to say that there isn't some connection between herbs and medication. So one of the things, I have epilepsy. I'm an epileptic. I'm a time bomb, and I haven't had a seizure since 2000. The pharmaceutical medicines were not working for me, and I told my former neurologist, I'm not taking any more of this, and if you continue to make me take any of these cocktails, I am going to take myself off the earth plane. And he said, I have to put that in your file. And I said, put it in there, write it down, highlight it, underline it, whatever you got to do. I'm not taking that. And so I took myself off everything at the risk of having seizures all day long. And that's before I had my daughter, before I wasn't driving. I didn't have a driver's license. That was part of my frustration, is that I could just sit around all day like a dork. And I did some research, and I saw that they were treating seizures here in the United States prophylactically with Valium. And then I saw in Europe, they were treating seizures, or no, they were emergency treatment was diazepam here in the United States. So if someone's having a seizure, they can jack them up with diazepam and halt the seizure. In Europe, they were treating seizure disorder prophylactically with high doses of valerian root. Well, valerian root is made from the same plant as diazepam, Valium, that sort of thing. So I said, well, isn't that interesting? And so I followed some of the protocols that I had to hunt for online. And surprise, surprise, I have not had a seizure since. I do not advise that anyone do that, because it was incredibly risky, but I was at my wit's end after being on heavy duty medications that I could not function nor drive, and they were not solving my seizures. So that was, I was still having, at one point I had an average of 8 grand mal a day. That's how bad it was. So I was quite desperate, if you know what I mean. So I don't recommend that anyone do that. That was just what I did, and it worked for me. And it was totally against doctor's orders. But I do think that there is going to be, the whole reason I'm telling a story is because I do think that there's going to be more integration with plant medicine that is from our ancestors and our ancients and incorporated. Here, the psychic stuff, I do think more and more medical professionals will start to figure out how to use intuition, like kind of like a Hausian kind of instinct where to go. And that was how I had talked to my pain management doctor, Dr. O, about it. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if you could kind of see where the origin of an injury was rather than having to do like a full body scan and kind of guessing from that. And he was like, yeah, that would be kind of cool. So you never know. You never know what is in store for any of us. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this scratched your itch for fan favorite Friday. This is a little different, strictly esoteric video. You know, we can look into the future and we can see what may happen from this point on, but there may be some free will that goes on in there. Again, 2064 is going to be an issue. So go back and watch that video. I'll pin it somewhere up here. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. It is a holiday weekend here. It's Memorial Day. It is not a festive holiday, but it is the gateway to summer here in the United States. Memorial Day is when we remember the fallen, the individuals that have given all in the quest of freedom for the United States and other countries. So this is a somewhat somber holiday. Angus's band does a parade and they go down and they have lots of veterans that are there. So you know, we it is not Veterans Day. We have Veterans Day here. This is to honor the fallen that have kept us free and happy and safe and sound to live our lives here. So this weekend, take a moment and make sure that you honor the fallen, the ones that gave all. And I will see you in the future.